Once a year, I get the pleasure of holding the gavel, not for long. It is my honor to call this workshop meeting of the 9th of January, 2025, first meeting in order. Per our policy, the first order of business is to elect a chair and a vice chair. And we do it the old-fashioned way. We do it openly, and here are how we follow these procedures. We take nominations from the floor. There does not have to be a second. You can self-nominate, and you can obviously vote for yourself. If more than two are nominated, and if we have a vote where someone does not get 4 votes, the person with the least number of votes would drop off till we have 2, and somebody would probably have a majority. I do want a couple things, and I'll be brief. They don't let me talk. Once a year I do get to talk a little, but this is special to me because we're anticipating the retirement of our superintendent, who has served this county for well over 30 years. And I've had the privilege of working with 6 superintendents, and hopefully I'll get to work with the 7th soon. But it's been really a great 4.5 years, Dr. Spence. I am so proud of this district. I am proud of the staff you've assembled. I'm proud of the achievements, the graduation rates at our schools, the test scores. Ms. Cody, I'm proud of the fact that we're in good financial shape. I mean, everything is good, and a lot of it is owed to the leadership. And I just want to say that I'm very proud to still be board attorney in my 22nd year. So with that, I would like to open up nominations to chair. Would anyone like to nominate anyone?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Hank.
Dr. Hank Yergin. Well, the first thing I have to do is ask Dr. Yergin, if elected, will you be able to serve as chair?
I will.
I asked that because I've been fooled before. Some people have been nominated, they say, I'm not being chair. So he said he would. Are there any other nominations from the floor before we vote? Looking around, I see no hands raised. Nominations are closed. Therefore, all those that plan on voting for Dr. Yergin, please raise your right hand. It appears to be unanimous. Congratulations, Dr. Yergin.
Well, thank you.
And again, following in that, what I said, Ms. Sams, you are now leaving that chair.
I know.
But you have done just a fabulous 2 years. You have been an exemplary chair, and it's been an honor to work with you.
Thank you. I
But
have
you're
good
not
people
leaving.
to work with.
And we expect you to help as usual, and I'm just delighted that you're on the board. Now we'll open it up for vice chair. I will look around and see, is there anyone wanting to nominate someone, or you can self-nominate.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Halsey, Mike Halsey.
That Mike Halsey, who for 20 years has been on this board. I have to ask, Mike, if elected, are you willing to serve as vice chair?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. And Mike has served as chair before, as has Dr. Yergin. They both have served as vice chair on more than one occasion. And we will now, is there any other nominations before I call for the vote? Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, all those that are going to vote for Mike Halsey as vice chair, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous. We have a chair, we have a vice chair, and now you have a lawyer that can close his mouth. So for those who don't get to see me talk, you may not see me talk again for a year, but it's been an honor for both chair and vice chair, and I know Dr. Yergin, as always, will make a great chair. So, we'll ask Dr. Yergin to take her seat, and we'll ask Mike to move over to where Dr. Yergin is. And
We'll just move over.
maybe people, if they want to change their seats, they can.
As a matter of fact, I might walk out of the room and back in.
Probably quicker.
I was counting superintendents, but I think you're right. I had to use my fingers. You counted DeLacy Sanford in there? Was Dr. Sanford one of yours you counted?
Well, he was interim,
Right.
so that was 7?
No, that was 6.
Oh, okay.
Started with winner.
Well,
winner.
Mr. Chair, we'll send this gavel to you, and you can take our meeting order.
For a month.
I always wanted to do that.
Mike, I'm back on this power strip, Mike. I mean,
You took the
I did take it. $500 bill, and I gotta sit on a strip.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody, thank the board for allowing me to serve. I first would like to welcome our new board members, Mr. Jeff Dodge and Miss Susan Lee. I think y'all will do a fabulous job. We are excited about y'all being here and look forward to a great year. I'd also like to thank Miss Edie Sams for her tireless effort behind the scenes. She was very, very well organized, kept us all straight, kept us informed, re-informed, and more informed. So we do have a little token of our appreciation. So we thank you very much. I hope you enjoy.
Is that one for you?
No, that's,
Thank y'all.
They're both for you. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, double.
Hopefully you'll have some more time to relax.
Congratulations to y'all.
Good, thank you.
All right, and I am looking forward to this year, exciting year. We have a superintendent that's retiring, like Mr. Lakin said. We thank you for your service and look forward to a great, at least half a year. And we look forward to some new folks coming in, and I think it's an exciting time to be part of Glynn County Board of Education. With that said, we'll move on with the agenda. I trust that everyone has reviewed the board policy. If you need me to read it all, I'll be glad to, but it's something we do every year. We review and we sign the ethics policy document. This is required by law each year, and so if anyone has any questions, we'll sign it once we finish the meeting. I don't think we need to vote on it. We've already voted on it. So with that said, we'll give it to Dr. Spence. Items of information.
All right, we'll start with Ms. Cody with the November financial report.
All right, so we will start with our November budget amendments. We had 5. The first was an increase to the preschool disability grant in the amount of $31,800. Then we had 3 of our CTEA grants that had an overall increase of $7,400. And then finally, the dyslexia grant had an increase of $11,400. And moving on to the general fund, you can see that our revenues were at 40.6%. This amount almost doubled since October as a result of property tax revenues. Our expenses are at 37% of budget, and the budget position at the end of November was 41.6%. Any questions on the November financials?
Is that about normal for each year?
Yep. Then moving on to the investments. Our interest earned in November was $472,994.44.
Any questions for Ms. Cody? Thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Blackerby with the facilities update.
We'll start with our East Boston project update and local capital outlay projects. Our major project from East Boston perspective right now is the Brunswick High driveway that we've been adding on to that. The awning that we've been waiting on is in the process of being installed. They've got all the posts up and are starting to put the canopy across the top today, so we should have that totally operational by the middle of next week, if not the end of the week, depending on the weather. So that project will be closing out here in the very near future. Local capital outlay, we have the BHS Fieldhouse, which will be presenting the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of that facility tonight. Although you'd already approved the portion for the relocation of geothermal lines and some of the site work. The geothermal line movement, that took place over the Christmas holidays, and we are pretty much back in operation. We had, I think, 2 air conditioner units today that were not fully operational, but we should have all that straight by tomorrow, and everything will be operational. And then we can move to the vertical construction portion of the project. And also local capital outlay, we have the third wing of this facility that is in progress. We've started demolition, started some of the preliminary electrical work and the plumbing work that needs to be done for that. So that portion is moving along. As you can see, as you pulled up, we're still in progress with the parking lot. Hopefully over the next 2.5 to 3 weeks, we'll be coming to the end of the parking lot. We're kind of in the worst part of it right now as far as disruptive. It's because we're in the process of removing all the old asphalt so that we can start laying the new asphalt. But as we move into the middle of next week, we'll probably be getting ready for the new asphalt, depending on the weather, and the freezing temperatures kind of slow you down a little bit with asphalt. So as it warms up, we should be in better position for that. Any questions on the projects? And as far as the GOOD report goes, again, I've already covered the projects. I don't know there's much need to scroll through the GOOD report. As we're coming off of East Boston 4 collections, there were still some residual collections of $32,942 during the month of December. Again, that's just lagging collections and reporting of collections to the Department of Revenue. So you can see that there. That should, again, decrease as we come into the next few months. And then in April, our East Plus 5 collections will begin. So we'll start reporting out on those. As of the date, our cumulative total for East Plus 4 is a little over $128 million. Any questions on the GOOD report?
Just on 3, Mr. Blackerby, so we've got like 3 projects really still holding us up from closing that out. When do we think we can fully close out 3? I guess the performing arts is gonna be the last thing to get finished. I mean, you've got some Glynn Academy stuff still there that's got a low
Right,
percentage payout.
some of that we just haven't closed we haven't moved the money completely out of that. We'll have to clean that up. There will still be, due to the interest funds and other things, there will be somebody in there.
Okay.
Most likely to completely close that out, we will, well, as we're doing the cameras at the middle schools and the elementary schools, that will eat into, then that falls underneath the technology upgrades at the bottom. So we'll slowly shift all that money into that technology pot to take care of those. And most likely anything that's left over at the end of that, we do have the ability to shift that to an East Plus 5 project. So that would, I guess, be some of the seed money to start that if it were left over at that point. But as long as that performing arts is there, the interest
be open.
is going to yeah, we can't close it out until performing arts is
Right.
done, which will be, I think, towards the end of next spring. They've started the structural steel on that building.
Right. Okay.
You can continue on, Mr. Blackerby.
All right, so, as previously stated, we have the GMP for the remaining construction of the Brunswick High Fieldhouse addition, and the R.H. Tyson, who's the construction management, they solicited bids for that through the subcontractors, and we are at $5,222,433, and that includes the total construction as well as the weight room flooring and the turf that will go inside there as well. And that is a local capital outlay funded project.
Bless you.
Do they list alternatives on there, or is that still being determined as to whether they're gonna?
Well, so, yeah, just to clarify that, so the alternates on the last page, I declined 1 and 3. They're not necessary. First of all, alternate 2, it is reflected in the 522,000, the 136,000 add for the PVC membrane over lightweight insulating concrete. That'll provide a better product for us as well, as, although we're not concerned about re-roofing now, when we do re-roof, 20 years down the road, that will allow us to have a much easier job. It'll pay for itself by that time.
Okay. So that is included in the price on page 1, or in
Yes,
addition?
that's not included in the price on page 1 here. It's included on the agenda item.
Okay.
So it's included here,
Okay. Thank you.
if that makes sense.
I see that. Okay.
And in that price, there is a $150,000 contingency, which we may not spend, as well as we are still working on some alternatives for the flooring. We have the specifications for the flooring, we want to shop some additional alternatives that meet that same specification, so we may wind up being able to decrease the flooring cost a small amount. Okay? At Brunswick High School, we are asking to purchase 2 combi ovens. Ms. Daniel, the Director of School Nutrition, she was awarded a grant through the Department of Education to replace the ovens there. The grant's for $30,000, as most state grants do. They don't cover the full cost, so there's an additional $11,250 that we have to cover, but Glynn County Schools would have to make the entire purchase and then reimburse the $30,000 after the purchase is made. And that will be paid for out of school nutrition funds. Okay. And we have been exploring the opportunity to resurface the Risley Annex track, which it does get used some by the community, but it also, the students there, they don't really have any opportunity for a good place to do any type of exercise. They're trying to use the gym some, but it would help to be able to have some separation if we could utilize the track some. This is basic resurfacing of the track. It's not creating a competition track. It's basic 1.5-inch asphalt overlay over what's currently there. And also, there is basically an unusable, dilapidated restroom building that the roof has gone from and the floor's falling in. We are going to remove that building from near the track as well, which will also kind of help with some safety and security around there, because it's one less place to have to try to monitor. And the price on that is $61,950. We did advertise this on our website for bids, but we only had one qualified bidder that was participated in it.
Any questions for Mr. Blackerby? We'll move on to Ms. Cody with the travel policy.
So, we're requesting you to approve a new travel policy after the 30-day review period. And to give a little background, our district's procedure has always been to follow the state travel policy because we're not allowed to set a more lenient policy. So really by approving this policy, our travel procedures are not changing. They will just now be a part of board policy. So it's not really anything changing. It's just becoming a part of policy.
Any questions for Ms. Cody? We'll move on to Mr. Benson with an explanation of the teacher externship.
We attached it, right, Ms. Seals?
I thought I did. Sorry. Mr. Benson, can you start talking? I'll get it.
Okay, I'll start talking. How's that?
Go ahead.
All right. Earlier this week, we had our Connect Glynn teacher externship program finish. And I asked Dr. Spence if I could just spend a few minutes updating the board, just kind of where we were with that program. This is the 4th year that the teacher externship program is ran, so we now have a total of 97 teachers who have gone through that. This year we had 28 individuals, and when the program first started, we had 4 businesses, and now we're up to 6 businesses. This year's program had 23 individuals from Glynn County, teacher and leaders, so we had some administrators participate in the program. And then we also had 3 individuals from McIntosh that participated, so they are one of our partners. And then we had a professor from the College of Coastal Georgia also participate. So that made up this year's group. If you listen to Mr. Staffens, he will tell you that the future of our community is sitting in our classrooms, and that there are good jobs to be had here in Glynn County. And so this is an opportunity to expose those individuals who participate in that program to the skills and qualifications that our students need to know about so that they can go back to their classrooms and their individual buildings and start talking about what those opportunities exactly are. And so when we look at this year's program, we try to tie it back to our strategic plan. And in our strategic plan, there's a statement that says, increase awareness of workforce needs and the relationship to coursework. And that's exactly what the teacher externship program is. It's an opportunity for our teachers to gain that exposure so that they can go back and speak with our students. We know not every student in Glynn County is going off to college. And we know that there are individuals sitting in our classrooms who don't have a plan for after college. And so this is an opportunity for those students to sit with those teachers and leaders and talk about the opportunities that are there. As part of the participation, each participant receives a $500 grant from the Golden Isles Chamber of Commerce to put towards purchasing materials, supplies, whatever they need to be able to go back and do so. At the end of this year's program, each group that participated was asked to put forth what we would call a deliverable. So in years past, individuals that have participated have said, you know, well, we had these great 2 days at Sea Island, and they treated us really well, and we ate good food, but we didn't really understand how those participants made the connection back to how is this information going to come back to students. And so this year, they were tasked to create a deliverable. And so I wanted to just speak on that for a few minutes here this evening. We saw things like choose your own adventure games. And so when the group that went to the hospital, one of the things that the feedback they had received is a lot of times students that when they think about the hospital, they think about the medical staff, the doctors, the nurses that are there. But they don't think about all of the other aspects that take place. The medical billing, the food services, the security at the hospital. They don't start to think about all the other different opportunities for employment that exist. And so this group created a slideshow where students could click around and just learn a little bit more about the different aspects. The group that went to Jekyll Island created a board game. And the board game was kind of, I would say, resembled the game of Sorry. And so as you rolled the dice and advanced around the board game, you had to answer different questions. The questions were leveled, so there were elementary questions, middle school questions, and high school questions. Some of the questions dealt with things like, you know, if a daily pass costs $10 and a season pass costs $100, how many times do I have to visit Jekyll Island in order to offset that cost? Or you know, at what point does it become advantageous to purchase the season pass versus the daily pass? There were different facts about some of the different departments at Jekyll Island. The group used a 3D printer to take and 3D print some of the game pieces for some of the different parts of the board game that they were putting together. So it really brought technology back into it. As the groups presented the other day at the college, there were some takeaways that we felt like sitting in the audience that was important for you as board members and anybody that's listening tonight to kind of hear about. And the first of which those takeaways was these businesses really are focused on family. And a lot of times in many of these businesses, students start very young and that's the place they work. It's not uncommon for students to spend, or individuals, employees to spend 30 plus years there working for that business. And while they're offering competitive wages, sometimes too competitive for us, I'll just say, there are other opportunities and benefits that are really there. And the climate and culture really does focus on family. So we just kind of wanted to make that known here this evening. Another one of the takeaways is there are vast opportunities within several of these organizations. When you look at an organization like Sea Island, there's over 140 departments that make up Sea Island. And we think about it as a resort, but I thought it was telling when one of their employees talked about, you know, Sea Island didn't have a historian and they pitched it to management and now they have a historian because that was the interest of that employee. And so they're able to kind of create positions even based upon individuals' interests. The group that went to FLETC said they offer everything from A to Z, and it was, you know, everything from actually accountant to vending machine, so it would be A to V, but there's so many other different things that are out there for our individuals to think about. So when we think about FLETC, sometimes we just think about the law enforcement or that piece of it, but that in itself is, as many of you know, that in itself is its own city. And so we just wanted to take an opportunity here this evening, and we'll share the slide so you can see some of the pictures, to say thank you to our educational partners in the teacher externship program, our McIntosh County Schools, the College of Coastal Georgia, GICA, and we also want to say thank you to our business partners. And our business partners include some of the individual businesses that I mentioned. So Okefenokee, REMC, Jekyll Island, King and Prince Seafood, Sea Island, FLETC, and the hospital. And so we just wanted to publicly say thank you to those individuals in making this opportunity available.
Any questions for Mr. Benson?
There's your picture.
I'm sorry.
That's
okay.
It didn't.
So, like I said, these were some of the group presentations. When you look at some of the things that were presented, the Okefenokee group, I'll just mention that. They delivered what we would call soft skill lesson plans. And so these were role-playing tasks that they created where they dealt with different situations like dress code, safety, difficult customers, de-escalation techniques and different things, and where they had a role play at the different levels. But you can kind of see some of the other things that were offered. I think I touched upon, I'll hit upon the last thing here, and I didn't say anything about this. That second bullet. Over and over, we heard when you ask these different businesses, what are you looking for? They're looking for soft skills. With what they called a can-do attitude, they can teach our students the necessary skills that they need to be successful. But if they can show up to work every day and they can stay off of their cell phone, they're going to have a job with these businesses. And then I guess there was one educational partner that I missed, and that was Coastal Pines, which is also part of it. There are some links in this presentation, so if you want to go back and take a look, you can click around a little bit more and just see what was being done. Be happy to answer any questions.
How are the participants chosen?
Well, they apply, actually,
Okay.
and then we look at Mr. Benson and myself look through the applications of teachers, and we pick based on their responses and how they're gonna implement the skills that they learn in their classrooms.
All age, elementary through high school can
Yes, sir.
participate?
We have kindergarten teachers that participate, and we have senior English teachers that participate. So as we think, it's not too early to start thinking about what you're going to do as a career. So, we've seen everything from children's books that are written about these different experiences for those younger ages. But I would say this year's group really did do some things to tailor for all 3 grade levels.
The deliverables that were formed, are they something that can be used in the classroom?
Yeah, so the chamber's gonna create a link off of their webpage where everything that was done can be uploaded. And so we're gonna go ahead and put out a message to our teachers, this is the location where you can go and find these items. I can say, as somebody who attended the externship last year, I was one of those. I attended Okefenokee. We did a children's book, and I said back to Mr. Staffens the other day that book now has 6,000 views. So somebody's going and looking. Somebody's playing that story, Willie Wirehands, that little story about electricity, which was kind of nice to go back and just see, hey, this stuff is being used. So, to answer the question, no, it's going to be housed on the chamber website, and Ms. Miller and I will redirect our staff so that they can go there and use this.
So that teachers who may have not been able to participate this year can still use some of those deliverables.
Exactly.
Deliverables.
Yep.
Good.
And for things like the game board, they're not going to physically have the game board, but the group actually created a digital game board so they could print, and they'll give access to all of the questions, and they wouldn't have the 3D pieces, but they'll have the paper pieces that they could move along.
Any other questions for Mr. Benson? That is all I have, Dr. Yergin.
All right, thank y'all. I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session for tribunal, personnel, land, and legal.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Halsey, second Ms. Gibbons. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. And it's unanimous at 5:34.
To open the session.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee to return to open session, second by Ms. Gibbons. All in favor?
You have to vote.
Oh, sorry.
And it's unanimous. And I'll entertain a motion to
So
adjourn
moved.
by Mike Mosley. Second. Second by Mr. Dodgen. Any objection? All in favor, raise your hand. And we're adjourned at 6:39.